second day in Japan. I'm gonna put on a mask in a second because it's influenza season. But we are on our way to Machida, which is a city that's like 30 minutes away from here, and it's the place where we wanna eventually move to. So we're gonna go for like a small shopping and exploring tour. First stop is going to buy a camera bag because I have this big one with me, but I don't really want to carry this everywhere. So I'm looking for like a smaller backpack that I can just carry with me on like more smaller shoots like today. But yeah, and I'm in a place called Yodobashi Camera, which is one of the main camera stores in Japan. They have like a cashback function. If you're a foreigner, you get like 10% back, the tax basically that you would have to pay otherwise. So if you are looking for a camera, I'd recommend buying in Japan because you get the good exchange rate for euros or like dollars, and you get the 10% cashback as well. And even if you have a Visa card, you get another like 5%, I believe. So you get 15% off any purchase. So that makes it really worth it. So yeah, I'm just gonna look around, try to find a good backpack, and then we're gonna continue onwards to the next stop. And we are back home. So unfortunately we were greeted by rain for the first 2 days in Japan. But tomorrow the weather is going to be better. It's raining, we haven't really been able to see the city that we wanted to go to, Machida. But from what we've seen, it has a lot of stores, so there's definitely a lot of opportunity for shopping, and it also has really great restaurants around the area, and there's a lot of people, so it's like a big town, more or less. But it's still technically part of Tokyo. It's like on the very outskirts of Tokyo. But it's a 30-minute train ride away from Tokyo, and yeah, it's pretty good. We're gonna be there back next week after I've done all of the registration, which we're gonna go do tomorrow, and after I have my bank account and phone number and everything, so that we can properly kind of start renting. That was it for today, and since we're not going outside anymore today, we're just gonna cook some dinner, and I'm gonna probably edit yesterday's video and today's video as well if I have some time. But since we're not going outside, I thought I wanted to talk about two things. One thing was that what I mentioned yesterday, which was the the process at the airport when you get a working holiday visa as to how you get. Let me show you this card. This is it's called Zairyu card, which is a residency card, and it's basically your ID in Japan. So it's a ID that's valid for a certain period. For me it's like 1 year. So, and the other thing was just a general guide for buying stuff in Japan, because that's what we did today. First up, the registration. So if you have your working holiday visa, if you don't, I made a video about the entire process up here or here. I always forget which side it is. Once you get your working holiday visa, what you should not do is line up with everybody else, like with all of the foreign visitors. I actually asked the staff at the Japanese airport if I should line up there, the working holiday visa, and he said, yeah, it's okay. So I lined up there, and it was like a huge queue for like 20 minutes. And when I arrived at the front, the guy said, oh yeah, it's not here, you have to go to another place. So I would ask maybe 2 times or maybe 3 times, because there's not a sign that says long term or residence or something. Instead, you will have to kind of line up in a separate place. We were sitting there, maybe 5 or 6 people, kind of called us one by one. We went to this counter, and at the counter, it's a pretty basic process. You only hand them your passport, which has the working holiday visa kind of in it. What they do is they just write down all of the details. They hand you kind of a confirmation of the working holiday visa, or like a confirmation of receiving your residency card. And there it just says how long you can stay in Japan for a working holiday visa. It's always going to be in 1 year. And they ask you if you want it in English, Japanese. I think they also have Korean and Chinese. Then you get a printed card. They ask you if the details are correct, your name and your birth date and your nationality. And yeah, so that's it basically. That then you are free to go, and you have a 1 year period from the date that you arrived, with which you can stay in Japan. Tomorrow, as I said, we're gonna go to the city hall, which is gonna be another process as to registering your first address in Japan, and also receiving or kind of registering for the national health insurance. But yeah, that's gonna be in tomorrow's vlog. So the second thing was about buying stuff in Japan. So I kind of mentioned it earlier, but right now there is a 10% tax in Japan on everything that you buy, or it's 10% on everything that is not food. So if you buy food, it's still 8%, which was used to be the old tax. But on stuff like cameras, on electronics, on clothing and everything, it's a 10% tax, like a consumption tax. And the thing is, this consumption tax does not really apply to foreigners. Well, it does if you buy things, but what you can do is, in a lot of stores, they have tax-free shopping. So what that means is, you buy something, you go to a special counter, you fill out the form, you receive a stamp in your passport with the receipt and kind of a confirmation that you bought it tax-free, and then they either withdraw 10% from the purchase price, or they give you back those 10% in cash. It really depends on the store. Again, you should look for this sign. It's just says tax-free shopping in there, and each store normally has a minimum amount that you have to spend. Normally it's somewhere in the range of like 5,000 to 6,000 yen, or $50 to $60. So you're not going to be able to really tax-free shop if you go to the supermarket and buy like a bento or a bottle of tea. But if you do bigger purchases, like a new camera, or maybe a new gaming console, or even new clothing, you can definitely get 10% back, which is really recommended. If you are not a foreign tourist, however, they don't give you really this discount. But a lot of stores, for example, I bought this really cool camera backpack earlier. A lot of stores have their own kind of cashback system. So when I bought this, I registered a new card. I bought it at Yodobashi Camera, which is the store that you saw earlier. It's like a big store, and I got this kind of point card, and with this card I get 10% back every time I buy something there in points, which you can use at the store again. I think it's only 8% if I buy it with a credit card. But yeah, there's a lot of these like kind of cashback systems that are, for foreigners, the most likely one to use is really the tax back. But then every store is gonna have some kind of point system where you get a certain part of the purchase back if you register a card with them. So if you're living in Japan for a longer time, I would definitely register these kind of cards, because it really makes sense to kind of get money back if you make one bigger purchase even, or go to the store often, like a camera store, which I do. You always get some points, which is great. And yeah, I think that's all of the tips I can give for buying right now. If I figure out more stuff in the future, I'm gonna let you know. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today. And yeah, that's gonna be it. And tomorrow, weather is gonna be good, so we're gonna go to the city office. I say weather is good, and then I say we go to the city hall, which is a very boring activity. But afterwards, we can probably maybe go for some sightseeing in this area. And then the plans for the weekend are on Saturday, or in the 2 videos from now, we're gonna go to a really big 100 yen store, because we got a kind of a small challenge that we have planned. And on Sunday I want to go to Tokyo to see the last autumn colors, because they are in peak right now and the weather is bad, so they might already start to be gone by now. But yeah, we got maybe in 3 days there will still be some autumn colors, so I'm gonna go chase some of them in Tokyo. So that's gonna be in 3 videos from now. But for now, night, and I'll see you tomorrow at the city hall.